What's your full name?
Reuben Augustus Melton.
All right. And what's your birthday?
October the 27th, 1927.
Okay. And just as an overview, you served in World War II and Korea, and also in the
Berlin crisis.
the Berlin airlift.
No, it was
Berlin crisis.
a crisis.
And then the reserves for the Air Force Reserves.
Air National Guard.
Air National Guard Reserve. Was all of that National Guard, was that in Birmingham?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to back up to where were you born?
Paint Rock, Alabama,
Okay.
right outside of Huntsville.
Okay. I wouldn't have known that. I've heard of it, but I wouldn't have been able to tell you where it was in the state. But thank you. How long did you live there?
10 years.
Okay. And then where did you go?
Well, my daddy was killed on the railroad on Christmas Eve.
Really?
That he was a signal maintainer. Him and 3 other guys were in the car, went out to a rural section. Train was supposed to have already gone, and when they drove up the steep embankment to the, you know how they used to go up and cross the railroad track like that, they drove up there and to check a signal.
Yeah.
And train hit them and killed all 4 of them.
Oh my goodness. And you
After that, we moved to my granddaddy's in Argo, Alabama.
Yeah.
And my mother remarried. And we moved to over on Huntsville Road in Birmingham. They bought a house with a little bit of insurance that they had. And each of my brother and I got a share, and we shared, give it to my mother to buy a house, 1540 Huntsville Road. It's called something else now, Shuttlesworth Drive or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And we lived there until I got married to the girl next door.
You did.
So
What was her name?
Carol,
Okay.
Frances Caroline Jones.
And what year did you get married? Well, before you got married, you had a little military service, right? You joined the Navy, right?
Right.
And how old were you then?
17.
Okay.
4 days into 17.
Had you graduated high school?
Nope.
You just joined up and
Joined. So from there, on 1 November 1944, got on the train with a bunch of others, and we went to Great Lakes, Illinois, to the Naval Training Station up there. It was cold. They said wind chill 35 below zero.
Yeah,
So-
you did get up there.
So we
time.
went out to a mock ship, and which they had fires in there, and we had to drag a hose in there, and they put me on the nozzle, and I had to knock it down, and it felt so good I cut it off, and the old chief is in charge said, "You do that one more time, I'm going to tell them to let go." and it's gonna whip you all over. So that's my indoctrination to fight fires on the ship.
Hey, you told me something earlier when I first got here about, was it when you joined the Navy, they told you were underweight?
Yes.
Yeah, what did you do?
They told me to go eat bananas and drink all the water I could and come back. And I come back and they weighed me and I liked a little less than a pound. And they told me, well, we'll put it on you. So they took me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were up there in Great Lakes for how long?
3 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was over Christmas time, and they brought us down to the terminal station where mail was transferred from one train to another, and we had to move them sacks and all on them big old trucks things that they pulled around back then, and that's when this old country boy had all he could get on, plus his pea coat and everything, and I had the diarrhea. So I told the guy in charge, he said, "You sure are going to the bathroom?" Oh, and I said, "I got diarrhea." I didn't, but anything to get in where was warm.
Oh, okay.
So I went to, they signed me to the post office there in San Francisco, and they put me up in a hotel room, and I went to classes and all, and got the rank of mailman 3rd class. So after that, that's when I went to the Pearl Harbor, spent 1 week there, and they sent me back. The war was ceasing,
Oh, yeah.
and that's when the airplanes landed on the water and taxied up to the thing. And after that, I come back to San Francisco. That's when they put me on the ship. I can't even remember the name of it. And went to one island, went to another island. I said, "Oh Lord, don't let me get off on one of these islands you can see from one end to the other." So when we got to the Philippines, I got off the ship after riding out a typhoon, and then I got off at Subic Bay. They had wooden walkways, and it was sailors coming this way, and I was going the opposite direction, and I found out why they had wooden sidewalks. I stepped off to let them by. That's when I sunk up to my ankles in mud. After that, they loaded me on the back of a big old truck loaded with mail, and I rode the top of the mail with a carbine all the way down to Leydig and to the post office there. Then I stayed at the post office there until they shut it down. They left me there to close it out. Never want to do that again. That's too much work. That's writing letters to the postal inspectors why we found letters in behind the cases and all that kind of stuff. And then after that, I come back and got married, bought a house up Bluff Park.
Yeah.
Hadn't been in it 2 months till they recalled me September the 1950 for the Korean War.
Oh boy. So where to?
After that, I couldn't make the payments on the house that I just bought, and then I moved my wife and son. Had a young boy then, and I was working at the post office at the time, and in Birmingham, and so I got it sold before I left. Either that or I'd lost it, and I had a VA loan, and then I went to Guam. I stayed on Guam for 16 months, the Naval Air Station, Agana, Guam.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in charge of the courier service. That was getting the diplomatic pouches and all hooked up to the youngest lieutenant you could find, fixing to go on into Japan or someplace like that. And oh, did they squawk when I put that handcuff on and that thing, the pouch.
Yeah.
They had to take it, and they couldn't get it off till they got where they were going, and they'd take it off. And I come to find out that mostly was toilet paper and newspapers and all for the generals and admirals and all. Maybe a little bit of classified material. But anyway, I stayed 16 months on Guam and come back and tried to get out of the Naval Reserve, and they wouldn't let me till my time was up. And when my time was up, I got out, went across the field and joined the Air National Guard. And from there, I went to photo school in Denver, Colorado. Then I went to intelligence school, interpretation school, Shepherd Air Force Base, and intelligence school. And
oh, Shepherd is in
Lackland Air Force Base. All of that.
Okay.
And every time I got a chance, I went to school. So they asked me, did I want to take the officer's test? And I said, well, sure, I'll take it. And I passed, and they sent me to Lackland Air Force Base with a bunch of young'uns. They'd just been commissioned to second lieutenants and all. And I trained with them.
Yeah.
Well, I trained them more than they trained me. And anyway, I got commissioned and come back and was assigned to the intelligence field, went to intelligence school and photo interpretation. Every time they had a school, I worked at the post office, and I could get off and go to the schools, and my time went on at the post office and the service too. So I took advantage of all of that, and then
was that all? Well, that was after Korea, right?
Yeah, that was after Korea, and then we got sent over to France and stayed there 3 months, and the pilots had to go to another airfield. They wouldn't let them fly out of Paris, France, and we were a photo outfit, and I wish I had some of those pictures now that they took of the mountains and the castles and all of that and blew up. 20 by 24 and all. We were a photo outfit. And
Now, did you shoot these photos, or what was your role exactly?
I was in the intelligence field then.
Yeah.
And we were transferred to Wiesbaden, Germany, and we stayed there. And we took over the intelligence unit there in Wiesbaden. And I wish I could tell you what all was said and read and done.
But you can't, huh?
Yeah. I had top secret clearances. Of course, they said after 10 years I'd be cleared. But anyway,
you're good now.
They were just people had come out and get out of East Germany and all come across the line.
Mm-hmm.
They'd train them, take them and put them back over to be spies.
Yeah.
They didn't want to go back, but things like that. So then we had weekends. We'd put a leave in the basket, and we'd go all over Europe. We traveled. One of the guys bought a Volkswagen over there, and we traveled every weekend. When we come back, if we back on time, we just pull our leave time out and shred it. So we saw a whole lot of Europe over there.
I bet you did. What was your favorite place?
Switzerland.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That would probably be mine too.
Yeah. After I got out and got remarried, my wife died stomach cancer. And a couple of years after she died, I remarried. We went back to Europe and spent 21 days over there touring everything.
Okay.
And it was wonderful. My wife, second wife, was legally blind. She could see a little bit and all, but when she went to college, she had to have a reader and everything to get her through. And she is the first teacher in the Birmingham school system to teach the blind and legally blind children and all.
Really?
And she walked from Barrett. Well, she started at Powell. I don't know whether y'all remember Powell. It burned, and I don't know what they did with it. They were talking about refurbishing it and all of that. Anyway, she started there. Then she went to Barrett in Eastlake.
Yeah.
And she walked from Barrett to Woodlawn to teach the kids in the high school, then back to the Barrett. And then when we got married, she got up and said, "You taking me to school?" I laughed and said, "I'm retired." And I was just kidding, but she said, "If you retire, I'm going to retire." So she retired, and we traveled from the time that she retired, because I told her, "Have your toothbrush ready and your bags packed, we're going to travel." Well, I had a little motor home, and when we got married, and we traveled some in that, and then we bought a motor home, and we have been in every state and every country that is the United States is, So then we cruised, and then we went to the Holy Land.
Yeah.
And while we was there, this is funny. I got kind of nauseated. And I said, "I'm going to my room." And I said, see if you can get me a Coke. I think that'll settle my stomach. Well, she goes down and she asked the guide or whoever was there, my husband would like to have a Coke. Coke? Coke? No, we don't have no Coke. So she comes back up there and says, they don't have no Coke. I said, tell him Coca-Cola. She goes back, she says, Coca-Cola. He said, oh, Coca-Cola. Coke is a drug to them over there. Is that what you said? So we just had a marvelous time traveling all over and cruising. And my daughter's over there in on a cruise ship that they flew from Atlanta to Honolulu and toured Honolulu and got on the ship, and they're on the ship now. Okay. And last she called me there was Hilo, and they were going on one side, they were going to sail around that night to the other side, and they was going from there to another island and back to Honolulu. And it's amazing that you can get on an airplane in Atlanta, Georgia, and fly all the way to Honolulu overnight.
That's a long flight.
It's a long flight.
How many kids do you have?
Had 6.
Really?
Got 4 living. My middle son had I guess, aneurysm or something, driving and hit a abutment we lived in Leeds over by it was the high school then, it's a junior high now. Anyway, woman was following him and said he just slapped at his neck and just laid over in the seat and run into the abutment down there. We didn't know that until after the funeral and all. And then after that, we got a thing. He worked with a nursing home there in East Lake, and he got a thing. Well, they got a thing that he needed to see something about his heart, and we didn't know that until after he was buried and all, or we'd had an autopsy done. But anyway, and my oldest daughter, her and her husband were out. They lived in Arab up there, and they were hit broadside by a truck, killed him outright, and she was in intensive care. They flew her by helicopter to the Huntsville. If you ever want a hospital, they are wonderful. I mean, they took care of us, they took care of her, and after she got out, she had to go into a nursing home because her neck and all up there. And I remember the surgeons saying, I've never seen anyone with the neck injuries and all that she had live more than 3 years. You know, almost to the day, 3 years later, she died.
Wow.
But she had her senses and all in the nursing home. And my youngest daughter, Karen, is the one that always went every day to check on her and do things for her, take her to clinics and all. And so I got 2 sons and the daughter that's in Hawaii. They're just wonderful. Been wonderful for me. Karen cleaned this morning. Every Thursday she come and cleans and irons for me. And,
I'm looking at the notes you gave me, and you have let's see, you had a lot of education through the
yes,
through the Air Guard.
right.
So you're past president of Leeds Lions Club,
I was here in Leeds.
American Legion,
Yeah,
the National Guard Association of Alabama, Retired Officers Association, National Association of Letter Carriers, and so you've been quite busy through your career.
oh, stay busy, see, and you can live to be 96.
That's right. Just what we were talking about. Stay active and
Yes,
busy and
stay active, that's right.
and connecting with people.
Mhm.
All
Number one is my church,
right.
knowing Jesus.
Yeah.
Number one, knowing where you're going. Number two.
Yeah. Exactly. That's
Yes.
right.
I was a deacon in the church.
Yeah.
I'm still a deacon, but don't get to church much because
Well, good.
I can't.
Back to let's see. Back to World War II and Korea service, particularly, or even Berlin and your active duty
Yes.
time. What do you have any particular memories that stands out the most? You know, whether it was something good, something bad.
No, but I remember we went to Normandy at a bus load. We went to different places while we was in Europe, but this, we went, and the guys were all drinking. And of course, I was only one not, so I was always a designated driver to haul the drunks around. So they're pretty well tanked up. They pull up. They look down and they see all these crosses, just as far as the eye can see. Coming back, they were all sober. It sobered them up in a minute. And so we come back, you know, and just things like that.
What I remember when I went to Normandy is when you get there, either on Omaha Beach or the American Cemetery, is how quiet it is. Everybody's just shows a lot of reverence and
Yeah. We got to go down to where they landed on the World War II, up the cliffs and all there.
yeah.
Got to see all the gun emplacements that were still built and still there.
So this was it back in the 1950s
Yeah,
when you were there?
yeah.
Yeah.
So
So it was only a few
Yeah.
years after
yeah,
that,
but
6 or 7, 8 years, whatever. And so probably a lot had not changed yet in that area.
no. It wasn't built up then. It's still scattered farms and everything all around and all. Or they tore the wall down. We had a train and we went through and went over into East Berlin. That's before the wall was torn down, and rode the train through there
Yeah.
had it locked down and everything, and MPs on there, and had a little excitement with a nurse that had raised the window and motioned to one of the guards to come over, and she gave him a ballpoint pen. He gave her the red star. And about that time, the MPs come through and saw that window up and her talking to that German out there. And boy, did we get chewed out. But she was the only one that done it. He said if he had got caught, they would have raided the train and we may still be over there. But anyway.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know.
They could have thought they were trading something secret.
Yeah.
And,
so
dangerous time.
Things. My memory is not what it used to be, but I still remember the most important ones.
Yeah. Can you tell me about any of the guys that you served with? Any of that you were close to, or do you remember any of them, or keep up with any of them after the war?
You know, the Air National Guard was involved in the Cuban thing. Yeah. Two of our pilots, Ray and Schamberger, were killed, and I was part of the Air Guard then.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember when the CIA or whatever the thing come in there recruiting. So remember that. That's about all I can remember.
Okay. And I think you've answered pretty much everything I was going to ask you. So, even before I asked you. So
appreciate it. No, most of the guys in the Air Guard, I don't know of anybody out there that's still alive that I was part of.
Wade, do you know any stories that you might have skipped over that?
Not pertaining, I was just thinking about that, not pertaining to military service so much as the story that when you ran away from home.
Oh.
Tell that story. I think that's a grand story. How old were you? Let's start there.
Yeah, let's hear that.
16. Yeah, I was going to my aunt in Colorado. I took the car and took off. That was back when they had the little stamps to get gas and all.
Okay.
So
yeah,
I got to Kansas City, Missouri, and I wrecked the car. Well, didn't wreck it. I guess you'd go. Anyway, I run off the road and slid sideways, and dirt got all in the wheel wells and all, and 4 flats.
Oh gosh.
Lucky. The Lord's, like I say, the Lord looks after.
So you said you ran away from home.
Yeah.
You were 16.
Yeah.
And running away was just to go to Colorado.
Yeah, I was going to go live with my aunt. I was tired of my... You know how kids...
Yeah.
And whose car was it?
My stepfather's.
I'm sure he was happy about that.
Yeah, mother come and got me. And
all the way to Kansas.
She's pretty good about it. She didn't rail at me much. But we caught the train, come on back from Kansas City, Missouri.
What happened to the car?
I sold it out there.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, mother did.
So
It was going to cost a whole lot to get new tires and get cleaned up and all.
how soon after that did you turn 17? Because then you went in the military.
About a year and a half.
Well, you were 16, so
Yeah.
it would have been, so you had just turned 16 when you decided you
Well,
had
I think at the end of I was 15 and turned 16. Well, that's so.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's water under the dam.
But you had an adventurous spirit. That's
Yes.
that's the point of the story from early on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it.
You know, there's a lot of veterans that I've met who grew up in very rural areas or farms,
Yeah.
and they had never been
Nowhere.
anywhere.
Yeah.
So you had been out of state at least, and so yeah, they would first time they'd ever went anywhere was going to boot camp.
Well, I had a friend, Gene Thomas, that went the same time I did. He was a pretty good sized fella, and they'd pick on me, and he'd take up for it.
Okay.
So
Good to have a friend like that.
yes, it is. Yeah. So, he died probably 20 years ago.
So you stayed in touch with him all those years? Oh, that's terrific.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you get together on occasion and have lunch
Yeah,
and stuff? Oh,
yeah.
that's great. Yeah. So you were lifelong friends then.
Yeah.
Military. Yeah. Did you have any other folks that you were friends with all those years? Or
Yeah.
until
yeah.
they passed?
The
so-
one
Yeah.
kids growing up together and all.
Yeah.
When we lived over there in Fountain Heights,
Right.
we always would rather kids come to our house than our kids go to their house. So we'd have swing sets and slides and things. All the kids would come to the house and all. And, you know, most of those kids are dead.
Well, you've lived a long time. That's part of it, isn't it? You outlived them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, from the military, how many, other than your friend you mentioned, the big guy that kind of kept an eye on you,
Yeah.
your big brother, who else in the military did you have lifelong friendship with?
Just nobody really,
Okay.
except the
just
guys
one guy.
out at the guard,
Okay.
air guard.
Yeah.
No, but
Had a lot of them served in Korea as well in World War
Yeah,
II? Okay,
yeah.
Yeah. I bet they had some interesting stories.
I bet they did too.
Yeah. Yeah. Were most of those guys combat veterans, or were they just a mix?
A
of
mix,
everybody? Okay.
mixed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, a lot of the combat vets I've met, they had nothing. They didn't want anything more to do with the military. Once they were,
Yeah.
they were like, okay, I did my part. I'm out. So
Yeah.
what they went through.
yeah, it was enough.
I didn't go through anything. I was at first class, everything.
Yeah.
Post office, Guam, brand new barracks, no combat whatsoever.
Yeah.
Then when we went to Germany, we stayed in the Wiesbaden Hotel, American Arms. We had it made. I mean, as far as my duties and things,
Yeah.
got a lot of sightseeing in then before I took my wife over there.
Well, that's on this project that I do with all the veterans I meet. I make sure Well, it just works out that I meet people who had all kinds of roles during the war.
Yeah,
It could be somebody that works in the post office, or was a nurse, or was a pilot, or infantry. And that putting all those stories together makes into one kind of personal history of the war.
right,
I like that because I can see all sides of it, not
right.
just what we see on the movies on TV, which may or may not be accurate. So I appreciate you telling me your story, and
What I could remember of it.
and it's a great story, you know, from where you came from, what you got to experience, all the way, you know, traveling the world basically, and
Got an education.
yeah,
Didn't get a degree, but I got an education. Even my Air War College,
yeah,
got a diploma from there. They would, Troy University would give me 2 years if I'd enrolled down there
that's a great thing too.
after Air War College.
That a lot of veterans tell me, you know, like I said, they had never been away from home, and probably wouldn't have. Many of them wouldn't have left home, where they live ever. You know, they'd settle down and get a job somewhere doing something, and may not have gone to college, but a lot of them, because of the GI Bill and stuff, were able to literally change their family's life because of.
All I could do was work. 6 kids.
You got to stay busy.
3 boys, 3 girls, 3 blue-eyed, 3 brown-eyed. Wife was blue-eyed, and I was brown-eyed. So it evened out all the way.
You sure did.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for your service,
Well,
and for
happy to I've done it.
sharing the story.